What's up? What's up? Yes, sir. We are back. Kingdom Talks. It's your boy 32 and
it's Monty. Hey.
Monty. But yeah. So we're back with another one, man. And this episode is gonna be about parenting. Now, parenting can be a touchy subject. Don't get me wrong, but I think that if we take parts of the old school culture, that village, you know what I'm saying, where the neighborhood really watched you. My dad talks about, like, how he can get whooped by, like, the whole block, and then, by the time you got home, your mama whooped you too. So you done got like 4, 5 butt whoopings, you know what I'm saying, for one thing that you did. You probably think about doing that one thing, or, you might not want to do that one thing, because is it worth the 4, 5 butt whoopings? But anyways, I say it to say, like, if we take some of those aspects, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everybody get to beat your kid, but if everybody had a hand in disciplining your kid and making sure that your kid was on the right path, could we not have a better community? Could we not have a better culture? Could we not have a better environment for our youth to grow up in? So that's why I want to talk about parenting. I want to talk about the things in which I feel like we do to combat what we feel is a problem in our culture. And I want to talk about some of the things I feel that, can be incorporated, on a cultural and communal level, that may help in the communities. So with that being said, let's start with the basics. So I am a dad. My daughter is 8. I had her at 20. So I'm a young parent. So I don't claim at all to be like a professor or a professional or anything like that, expert. But I got 8 years under my belt, and I'm a very active father. I'm very, into her life. I'm very into her development and growth. So that's my expertise. That's my my credentials. Now, my wife, on the other hand, go ahead, give me a story.
I have a bunch of nieces and nephews. Yeah, I jumped into the auntie role. I was young. I was like 10 or something. So, my oldest nephew is about to be 20. So, and it's what, seven of them. So yeah. So I mean, not since recently have I been, a parent, but I've been a part of, I guess you could say raising kids and being a part of their life and, seeing what their parents do and different things like that. So that's my experience. And of course, my lovely stepdaughter. So yeah, that's my experience.
So I kind of want to start there. So like the difference between, starting out at 10, helping your older sisters with their kids, and then being married and having a stepdaughter. Like, how has that early experience helped you, and then what has been like major differences that you've noticed?
I think it's helped just because like I can relate to kids on like different levels and different aspects. So like, I try to find like a common like interest for like me and a kid, and then that way I can kind of start like making the connection and building the relationship with them. So I definitely think that helped with just seeing how kids are, from being a baby all the way up until adulthood. Also, something else I would say is being able to be like the outside source in a sense, like if my nieces and nephews aren't comfortable with talking to, like my sisters about certain things, they know they can come to me, and they know that, it's an open line of communication, like I'm not gonna go and tell their business. If it's not something that, is gonna put them or somebody else in harm's way, yeah, at that point they already know, Titi Money don't care. We're not doing that. But, if it's something, personal that they, don't want to share with them, then they know that we have an open door policy. And, I just honest with them. I don't believe in sugarcoating things with my nieces and nephews, because I feel like that could potentially hurt them in the future, because if you sugarcoat and you don't tell them the truth, then once they get out into the real world, they're going to expect to be coddled, and they're going to expect for things to be, you know, all peaches and cream. And unfortunately for us, that's not the case. It hasn't been for a very long time. So I'm very honest with them, and I think that they can appreciate that. And I also give them examples from my life too, to try to make connections. And I think they appreciate that. Now the only big difference that I can see between, like, you know, my nieces and nephews and my stepdaughter is I can be a little bit more aggressive with them, because they know, how can I say it?
Say it.
Like, like, they've already had their FAFO moments with me. So, like, they know that, you know, oh, like, yeah, you know, TT Money, you know, like, she'll joke, she'll play. But once I feel like you're teetering that line of, like, disrespect, it's like, okay, stop playing with me. And I feel like I can be so aggressive with them because they're my nieces and nephews, but I can't be as assertive and as aggressive with my stepdaughter. One, because I feel like that would, in a sense, like, make her afraid of me, and I don't want that to be the case. Like, I don't think my nieces and nephews are afraid of me, but they just know the difference, right? So it's a thing of, I don't want her to be afraid, but then again, I also don't want it to be a thing of making her feel uncomfortable to the point where, like, you know, she no longer has that security or safety with me, right? Because I've been a stepchild before. I am a stepchild. So, and one of my relationship with one of my step parents was not the best. So I know what that feels like. I know that can be very intimidating, and I was not comfortable in the home that I was in. So I never want her to feel like that. So it's like you don't want to give it too much aggression and assertion, but you also don't want to be, like, too weak in a sense, because kids can sniff that out. And my stepdaughter is she's very, very, very smart. She can pick up on things like that. So if she knows that, like, oh, if I say this, but if I say it in this tone, I know I'm, like, pushing a button. So I'm going to just keep picking and picking and picking and picking and picking. So it's like it's almost like you have to, like, trick her in a sense. Like, you have to trick her into thinking that, like, she's a big dog. But in reality, she's, you know, following your orders. She's following what you're telling her to do. So it's really like a mind game. Really, it's almost like working with somebody from the FBI's Most Wanted. Like, it is. It's literally working with your mastermind, because she's so advanced and her mind is so, like, sharp that, like, you may think, oh, look at those dimples, oh, look at that smile. And in her mind, her wheels is turning, like, okay, if I smile this way, I got him. It's like, hook and reel. Like, she's really advanced. So you really have to, like, you have to be, like, 10 steps ahead of her. So that, I would say, would be the only difference between the two, in a sense.
So you hit on a lot of different things, but like the main takeaway is that the questions that I have from what you said, or what I want to speak towards rather, is the not sugarcoating part. You know, I thought that was very important, in both helping raise somebody else's kids, but then also, you know what I'm saying, having a hand in raising your own or your stepkids. And just for clarity, like, you know, like, we've done the step thing because we want to put the clarity out there for you all, but, like, I really just don't believe in, like, the whole, like, before, the prefix. Like, she's a parent. She's here. She does the role. She puts in the love. She throws in investment. she's a parent. Like, you know, she stepped up, and that's the only sense of the word, you know what I'm saying, that I believe in. Not that any other parent stepped down or wasn't there. It's just to complete the household, you know what I'm saying, this household. She stepped up, and she's the parent. But even, you know, godparents and stuff like that, like, I don't really look at them as godparents. Like, it's just their parents. They throw the investment in, they throw the love in, you know. But anyways, side note. But how you speak to a kid, I think, is everything in their upbringing and everything in their development. You know, I wasn't really wanting to do the goo gaga talking with Angel, even as a baby. Like, I talked to her as if she understood real conversations, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time, I got a real reaction, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when she was too young to do anything, she just could do nothing but cry. All right, cool. Hey, you all right? We sung songs, regular songs, wasn't all that baby boo boo, but no, none of that, you know? And then even, like, when she, you know, got old enough to start making noises, I was still talking to her. If she hit me with a yeah, you sure right? That's what I was thinking. So you want to turn the TV or what? Like, you gonna press the button or you want me to do it? And she look at me, she smile. All right, I got you. You know, but I'm not gonna do that because I feel like if she hears the regular words every day, she'll eventually start using them. And I mean, as Monty said, like to my long-term investment, I think it worked out. She's a mastermind. Like, she takes words, she hears them, she understands how you're using them, and then she understands how she's using them. She knows how to change her voice. She knows how to position her body. Like, she can she can give you all the body language that she wants to give you. Like, she's very advanced for her age at 8 years old. She just got, you know, past the gifted test. She'll be going to a gifted school. Like, I'm pushing that investment, you know, there, and I think it all started with just being real with her, just helping her understand and see the world as she's going to grow to see it, not as where she is right now. Because she's not always going to be 6 months. She's not always going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eventually, she's going to be a 27-year-old woman. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, she's going to be a 32-year-old woman. And I need to prepare her for that. So I think being honest with them, having those honest conversations, having an open door policy to where you can build up their trust, because one of the things I also know just from my own life experience growing up and being a kid, you know, you learn a lot outside of your own walls. You learn a lot from that outside world. And if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have a mindset of your own, if you don't have a foundation of ideals on your own, the outside world will swallow you up. It'll have you thinking blue is beige. What was the one picture that was going around on social media? Do you see green, blue, or whatever it comes to? The outside world will have you on a whole nother trip as far as where your mind is, what your mind is consuming and what it's distracted by. So you have to implore in them, you have to instill in them, you have to invest in them a sound mind, you know what I'm saying? And that starts with real conversations, letting them know, hey, look, everything on YouTube ain't real, boo. Mm-hmm. And that was a constant conversation me and my daughter have to have, because they're on there, they're on the TikToks, they're on these little games and stuff, and it's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? We was on our games. You know, we was coming up. It was the 2Ks, and you know what I'm saying, before we was Sims and let's get ready to Royal Rumble and stuff like that.
But our games weren't, you know.
Granted. Now, even still don't know, because it was progressive. Because when you think about games like James Bond, we was literally walking around with guns shooting each other.
Yeah, baby.
You think about like Super Mario Brothers, it was really
okay, baby. But we also had like Pop Tropica and Fun Brain and
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The world has definitely transitioned into what you know what I'm saying is accessible for the younger age. Don't get me wrong.
They get on the game and you know can order a drone. You be like, wait a minute, what's this?
Yeah, nah, it's
be somewhere talking to somebody in Russia, giving away their address and stuff on Roblox. Wait a minute. Nah, absolutely not.
It's different. Definitely monitor that stuff, man. Like, seriously, but have them talk with your kids, because I don't think a lot of us have those safety talks anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of us have like stranger danger talks. I don't think, you know, we have that, hey, look, You don't get in a car with nobody if it ain't, you know, this person, that person. Like, we need to go back to some of those old strict routine things, you know what I'm saying? Even having the little card in the backpack. So if in case, you know what I'm saying, you are on the bus and you don't know your stop, here, get this to the bus driver. Get this to the principal, whatever the case may be. Do you know your address by heart? You know what I'm saying? Do you know at least 2 or 3 or 5 contacts that you can call by heart? Do they know the numbers by heart? So if they don't have a phone, they can, hey, can you call my mommy? You know what I'm saying? And I just think we need to get back to some of these things, you know what I'm saying, and talking to the kids and really getting them informed on the world that they're in, because like she said, this world is much different than when we was growing up. You know what I'm saying? We could play kickball without worrying about getting snatched up. You know what I'm saying? We could be out to the street lights and it's not a problem. Now you barely play outside after school. You know what I'm saying? You gotta worry about a gun. You gotta worry about, you know what I'm saying, this person and they malicious intent. You gotta worry about somebody calling the police. You gotta worry about the police and doing too much. It's just so much. So you have to, and I'm not saying scare your kids, because again, they gotta live life. But they need to be aware. They need to understand. You know what I'm saying? They need to understand how certain things are just, it is what it is, but it's nothing that we can do about it in the moment besides become better people to change it later. So with that being said, you know, you the real conversations, being brutally honest, and, you know, having that welcome space. But then also, as you said, the other thing you talked about, you being scared, you know what I'm saying, like the biggest difference, you know, you being able to be aggressive with your nieces and nephews versus kind of, you know, taking on a more shy approach or passive approach with Angel. And I think, like, I wanted to talk to them because I think that's more so speaking to balance in parenting. And I think our generation especially, one of the things that I don't knock none of the parents, I'm not saying this to knock you, but if the shoe fits, you know what I'm saying, again, I would maybe just look at it from is my equation balanced or not? Because I think we've become too friendly with our kids, or we're trying to live their lives, so we don't separate between the two. And I'm not speaking to what you were saying earlier, but this is a different kind of balance, you know, the balance between being the adult and, you know what I'm saying, having a relationship with the child. I think too often, you know what I'm saying, we are too unbalanced in the adulting, where we forget to adult and actually lead and guide and be that disciplinary factor, to where, you know what I'm saying, we act, dress, talk, and do everything like our kids. And I think there has to be a delineation between me, the parent, and them, the kid, even if I have a relationship. Like, I think I love me and my daughter's relationship, you know what I'm saying? We can kick it, we can vibe. We even play fight every now and then, you know what I'm saying? But when I cut it off, she know I'm cutting it off. You know what I'm saying? There should not be a steady continuation. There should not be a linear line of we're always on the same level. And I think, you know, there has to be a balance. You know, I need to be able to be flexible enough to be a parent, to be your friend in the moment, and not even necessarily your friend, just enough to where you like it and we can kick it. You know what I'm saying? We need to be able to kick it and vibe, have an open conversation, dialogue, all that good stuff. And every now and then we might slip to where you don't like me. You know what I'm saying? But I still need to be a parent. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, the balance on your end, the disciplinary and the fun parent. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us, we love being a fun parent. But if we never establish the discipline, these kids don't eventually get older. And they're eventually going to start to formulate their own hierarchy of discipline. And when you are no longer on that track, you're no longer on that chart, because all of their life you've just been the fun parent, they're not going to take you serious. And that's when you get the parents who, you know what I'm saying, they got that unruly teenager who want to buck up and who want to, you know what I'm saying, fight them, and, you know what I'm saying, they talking back, and I can't do nothing, you know what I'm saying, they just do whatever they want. It's because you was the fun parent. You didn't check it. You didn't have that balance. And then you got the ones who are they're too controlling. It's disciplinary 24/7, no time to breathe down your neck, and them be the ones that, you know, you send your kid off in college, and it's like, I raised such a great child. I don't know what happened. Well, you never allowed them to experience the world for what it was. You kept them bubbled up. So it's not you have to have that balance between control and fun, because fun is out there in the world. So you got to let your kids experience the fun. But you need to, again, equip them with the things, with the discipline, with the foundation, so that when they run into certain types of fun, I'm cool. I know how to have fun, but I don't need to have that much fun. You know what I'm saying? That's cool, but I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew how to have fun, but I had my certain limits. I was a wild boy, but I had my limits. I wasn't gonna try that. It's certain things I just wasn't gonna, and have not tried still to this day. I'm cool on it. I won't do. It's hard for me to take my medicine pills just because I'm adverse to pills. I don't want them. I'm cool. I seen people popping pills to turn up. I'm good. I'm straight. I don't need that much fun. Straight. So with that being said, you know, again, that balance thing, you gotta have that balance. So with you, like I always tell you, like, you gotta set that foundation of disciplinary, and it's gonna be hard at first because it's the shock. The kid is always gonna be shocked, like, dang, hold on, wait, they ain't being so fun no more. Because of course, like, when you first get in, you coming in, it's like, oh, this the girl that, you know, daddy talking to. Oh, okay, daddy said this is girlfriend. Oh, okay, they serious. Oh, okay, they married. You know what I'm saying? We living together. We taking trips. Oh, okay, this might be the real deal. So, you know what I'm saying? You edging your way in, and the whole time you working your way up, but you start with all the fun stuff first. You don't come in, you know what I'm saying, as the girlfriend, as the friend, and just ordering people around. So of course you start on the fun side. But eventually you gotta hit that transition where they understand, like, hey, I'm the parent. I'm not just daddy's friend, like, I'm the parent. I'm here to love you and make sure that you know what I'm saying, become the best version of you. And I'm gonna give you everything in me to make sure that you are the best version. So I think, you know what I'm saying, go ahead.
So to speak to that, so if we're being honest, I would say, out of the two of us, I'm more strict. I would say, for sure. Don't get me wrong. We can have fun, we can do our thing, but at some point I'd be like, all right, like, what about the room? Like, what about the plate? What about the bowl? What about the clothes? Like, so, and I know how, and that's the other thing. Like, I related back so much to my nieces and nephews. I know how I am with them. And I know when they used to come to my place and spend the night or spend the weekend, you not finna do this, you not finna, like, we're just not. We had a routine. And I feel like I struggle so much with the strictness because I don't want to be, like he said, overly strict, right? I don't want it to be where we just have her, you know, like, cooped up in her room and, like, she can't do anything. Like, she's not a prisoner. That's not what I'm trying to do, and that's not what I would do to my nieces and nephews. But I just feel like with the strictness, it may come across as something else. And I know, like, when I get irritated or agitated, like, I know that my tone, I know my energy, I know everything is going to be off. So I always try to pull back when I feel that, because I don't want her to feel like what I have going on emotionally, or because I'm irritated about something that, you know, I'm taking it out on her, and now it's a thing of, well, she's always mad at me about this or this, that. Like, I don't want, because again, I've had that type of relationship, so I don't ever want to project that onto her, because I know how that made me feel. And I know I was going back to my mama, like, Mom, I can't do this. Like, you gotta come get me. I gotta move up out of here. Like, we gotta. So then that in turn made my mama turn into a mama bear. You know what I'm saying? So now something that has started off because of my agitation, now it has created this big fire, this big mess, and I don't do too well with that. I'm not a confrontational person. I don't like confrontation unless I have to be. That's not me. Energy and all that, I don't like that. So I'm always looking at it from different angles, and I'm never trying to, like I said, step on anybody's toes, cross any boundaries. So for me, it's always a struggle, because I'm like, I don't want to do too much, but I don't want to do too little. So then sometimes it just results in me doing nothing and saying nothing because I'm like, I don't know which avenue to take and which one will be the most effective in the moment or with what the situation is. So I just be like, I'm gonna just sit this one out because like, and I feel like that may be for a lot of people who are merging a blended family. You never want to make the child feel uncomfortable. You never want to create an issue between, the parents, because that in itself is a big thing, right? You don't ever want to have the mom and the dad on teeter-totter or opposite sides, because then that can create something that now everybody just messed up, and at the end of the day, it always affects the child. So it's like I'm looking at it, I'm trying to put myself in everybody's shoes, look at it from everybody else's, perspective. So I just be like, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out. Sometimes I go, okay, I can do that, I got that. But sometimes I be like, you know what, like the TV, I was like, let me sit this one out. I ain't feeling this, like I'm mad. When he was like, well, I mean, when you look at it, it's either the TV or the window. And I'm like, I see where you're coming from, but it didn't have to be the TV or the windows. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out. So yeah, I feel like you have to pick and choose your battles wisely when you're in my position, because otherwise it can manifest and turn into something that it doesn't need to turn into. And again, my whole focus is you never want to put the child in the middle. You never want it to feel like a tug of war with the child, or, to try to make them feel like, well, they have to pick, or, they're not comfortable at one household, so they would rather be at another one. They should be able to feel comfortable at both households because they know that they're loved. They know that they have parents or step parents, or they have, a village on both sides that are going to love them, but also, hold them accountable, make sure that we're pouring into them the correct way. So that's just, again, it's always a fine thin line to walk.
Thanks. Now that I agree with it. I can agree with it. And I think because we both dealt with like step parents before, we can kind of relate to that, and we play opposite sides of it now. You being the step parent, and then me being the parent marrying, and then kind of introducing my child to a step parent. And I think I love you the most because, like, again, you do take time to think about all the different sides. You know what I'm saying? And you are very mindful in that sense, and I think like that also helps, keep things smooth and malleable. But I also like me and you have talked too as well, like, because sometimes vision has to trump comfort in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Where we're going sometimes is going to put us in a position to where we have to be uncomfortable. I do think, like I say, like sometimes you have to be more assertive and kind of establish that side of you now, so that it's not so hard. Like I said, so it's not as hard when she's in her teenage years or when she start getting into the preteen years. You know what I'm saying? Get that respect now, and because like I think you've done the leg work, you know what I'm saying? You've done the prep work and making sure that you're not the parent who's trying to cause the division between the biological parent or cause division between the kid. Like, you're not that. You're looking at all sides. You consider, you know what I'm saying, her mom, you consider me, you consider yourself, you consider her as a child. It's like you think about all parties. So we know like your intention is not malicious, right? So at this point, like I feel like you've established yourself as the peacemaker. You've established yourself as, you know what I'm saying, someone who's going to consider all parties. You've established yourself as someone who's fun. Now I think, you know what I'm saying, it's time, and I urge you often to be more assertive in that sense so she can see that, because when she gets older, from my experience, I'm not a female, but from my experience on how the world treats females and how the world holds females accountable, that's one trait that, you know what I'm saying, if we can instill in her, it would set her miles apart from a lot of other females, because I feel as though the female today lacks accountability. A lot of females today lack accountability. The world doesn't hold them accountable to their actions, to their standards, to their words, to, you know what I'm saying, their habits. And when we do, you know what I'm saying, there's like it's like an encyclopedia of defense mechanisms to pretty much, you know what I'm saying, invalidate every accountability. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to be accountable because it is, or the fact that you holding me accountable mean you that. And it's just like, by the time you even get to them taking accountability, you done been everything in the book, and your head spinning as a man. It's just like, it's no point. So I feel like you get her that discipline, you instilling it in her, us, you know what I'm saying, as a unit, you know what I'm saying, introducing her to the idea of being accountable helps her grow into a better woman. But it also helps us with, you know what I'm saying, her discipline later on, because she's not going to just, oh, I'm going to have an attitude because I can, I'm going to do this because I can, because the world said, and somebody going to like me, da 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 da, I roll, head twitch, T, clock that, period, poo. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just going to be that, it's going to be some type of understanding, like, hey, I can't act this way and think I'm going to get this. I can't behave this way and expect this. I need to do this if I want that. I need to become this if I want that. I need to do these things if I want to achieve that. Like, there's no other way around it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm never going to stoop to giving myself out to shorten my route or my journey. So I think, again, you know, having it at both households, you know what I'm saying? I feel her mom is going to be her mom, you know what I'm saying? She's going to be that disciplinary, you know what I'm saying, in the household, because she has to. Over here, I feel like if we stay on that unified front and give her the discipline, she gets it in both households. She learns it twofold, and it just makes her that much more a better woman when she gets to the age. So, yeah, I think, again, a lot of people should really look into the discipline side, you know what I'm saying? Be more balanced in that front, because I do think that it helps, you know, later on in life. I think one of my biggest regrets is that I dodged a lot of accountability growing up. So when I was 2017, you know what I'm saying, sophomore year in college, and I was going through all of that, it was a lot of my regret was coming from the fact that I never built up the discipline that I needed to go through the things that I was going through. I didn't know how to, you know what I'm saying, stay on a savings account. I didn't know how to, you know what I'm saying, be consistent with saving the money, or be consistent with, you know, carrying out things, because when I didn't feel like I wanted to do it, I didn't do it. So my lack of discipline, it hindered my journey. It hindered my progression. And I want, you know, the next generation of kids to have that. And it starts at home. It starts with parents, you know. So with that being said, let's kind of do some speed questions. What's some things in the culture that you would like to see change, and we're not just gonna complain about it, give us a solution?
Kids always being on devices, because I feel like they're open to so much information, and it may be too much for them, especially depending on their age. They may not know what to do with it. They may not know how to handle it. So just being on devices, give them something else to do. Like, I know growing up, like, we had like the leapfrog stuff, but that was like, you know, like, those were learning computers. We had like actual like summer workbooks. Like, kids don't, when they go to school, they don't have agendas no more. Like, parents aren't required to sign them. They don't have white envelopes that they get every Wednesday where they get like the announcements and stuff. People, like, we don't do any of that. I haven't seen the, what's it called, where you collect the bottle tops and stuff for like the reading and all. Like, I don't see any of that anymore. Like, when kids turn 2 or 3, we got them with a tablet in their face. Like, there's no communication. These kids don't know how to, they don't know how to write their names. They don't know what their names are. They don't know their letters. They don't know their numbers. They come to kindergarten. They don't know anything. I've taught 6th graders who do not know their name. They cannot spell their name. Why? Because they had a phone or a tablet in their hand and nobody's working with them at home. Nobody's giving them a work. Man, what? Summertime? I've never had to do summer school. Thank God. I've never had to do summer school growing up. But summertime, whether I was with my mama or my daddy, I was doing something. I was reading books. I was giving book reports. I was doing workbooks that my mama would either get from work or she would get. Me and my mama would go to the library. She was working on her bachelor's. And I remember we would go every summer. We got us a library card. She would be over researching for her books and I would be over in the kids section reading the chicken noodle soup books for the soul. Like, that's how me and my mom used to spend our summers, at the library. Like, yeah, we would have fun and stuff like that, but it was also learning. Like, we have to start teaching these kids, even if we do like summer camps. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, there is summer camp because, you know, like, their parents have to work and, you know, it's something cool and something fun to do. They get to be with other kids, but they should also be learning things. I never went to a summer camp and just kicked it all day and then, you know, laid down on the cot. Like, no, like, I had something to tell my mama or my daddy. Like, even when I was with my daddy and I was with my granny and my cousins, we was learning about the Bible. We was learning something. It wasn't just, oh, get a cell phone or, oh, watch TV all day. Like, no, that's not what that was for. And don't get me wrong, when I say kids can't have fun, I'm not saying they can't have devices. But the amount of time that they spend on YouTube, Roblox, Call of Duty, all that stuff, that is really messing with them. So we need to figure out some sort of like plan or way, or we need to do something. We need to get these kids back on learning. Like, because where we are now, especially in education, these test scores, these babies coming into school and being 3 or 4 grade levels below where they should be, there's no way you should be in middle school and you're on a 2nd grade reading level, a 1st grade or kindergarten reading level. There's no way that your test score should show that. So we need to start back investing in our kids. Like, growing up, our parents and our community, they invested in us. We couldn't be on a team and not get some sort of lecture, not get some sort of life lesson. Like, it just wasn't a thing. Like, that just wasn't it. And these kids are so far, like, away from reality. Like, everything is a game. Everything is, like, all fun and games. Like, I don't have to worry about this. Like, they think social media is real, and that's scary. Because now with AI, they can make anything seem real.
Oh, boy.
And they don't have the mental capacity. They don't have the mental strength to know what's fake and what's real.
I ain't thought about the kids. I've been thinking about the grown-ups.
Like,
sheesh. Yeah, we in for it.
Like, this is what they're growing up in. This is going to be their new world. Technology is,
man,
this is going to be different for these kids. So we have to figure out a way to, like he said, bring in those old practices. We have to figure out a way to get those back. Because right now, everything is a game. Everything is fun to them. Everything is not to be taken seriously. Like,
so what I heard again was balance. Cause I mean, again, we're not saying don't have fun, but like she said, if we were to do a chart, or if it was like a seesaw or the balance beam, and you put all the time spent on games media, cartoons, YouTube songs, you know, all that time, and then all the time spent on academics, all that time spent on learning financial literacy, learning how to actually cook, how to actually clean, how to actually read and write. You know what I'm saying? The foundational things of life.
They don't even write in cursive no more.
The scale is gonna look like this. It's not. As a matter of fact, you know, like when you got too little stuff on one side, and you got too much stuff. The little stuff just fly off. That's where the academics and all this, it didn't flew off because there's just too much weight on this other side. We need to balance it out. If we just took a fourth of that time that we spend on all the stuff that don't amount to nothing, all the stuff that don't add no value. The reality TV shows, the mainstream songs, like it don't add no real value to them kids, man. It might mean something to you. You know what I'm saying? That song on the radio, it might have touched your heart because you got a real life experience as an adult. But them kids, it's not adding no value to them.
Should no little 5-year-old be singing sexy red? I'm sorry.
Like,
should no little 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old know what's going on baddies? Like, that's just, come on. What are we doing?
Get better.
What are we doing?
Better. So yeah, balance, man. We just gotta balance it out. You know what I'm saying? Be more balanced. Be more investment oriented. You know what I'm saying? And stop investing in these kids' looks because y'all got some. I'm talking about dapper dear sons, beautiful daughters. I'm talking about they be dressed in swag to the T. But if they can't read and write, what does all of that mean, man? What does all of that mean? Because eventually what you're doing is you setting them up to get bullied. Because these kids is only getting meaner and mean. When I was in middle school, we talked about people who were slow. You can't read and write. You stuttering every time the teacher called on you. We talked about you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But I'm just saying it's kids like me still in school. And these kids only know of what social media, and social media is all about talking about people. It's about dragging people. It's about clout. So guess what? If I can get the most laughs off of you, then that's what I'm going to do. That's what this world is. So don't send your kids to school fresh as ever and they can't read 3 sentences out loud. You going to be the fresh dum-dum.
Also, can I say something too? Before we can get to the kids, we have to, as quote unquote grown people and adults, be accountable. If you are not in the position to take care of a child, if you are not in the position to raise a child, if you know that financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you are not there, it is okay to give your child a better life until you can get yourself together. Because as kids, they can't do anything. They can only do what their parent or what their guardian is allowing. But if their parent or their guardian is 6 years old, they're gonna have a 6-year-old friend. If their parent or their guardian is still 16, of course they can relate to you because y'all are on the same level mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. Y'all are on the same level. So there may be a disconnect of why isn't my kid respecting me? Well, because mama, you on TikTok doing the same thing I'm doing. When we go to Walmart, mama, daddy, you looking at the same clothes I'm looking at. You scanning, a TV for a can of beans. So why would not? So before we can put all this weight on these kids, we as adults and as parents, we have to be accountable. We have to grow up first. Yeah. You gotta make sure you got your stuff in order before you try to get your kids.
So we'll see y'all next week. She putting that foot in. She putting that foot in.
I'm just saying, that they need something. They need something. And also another thing, can we stop blaming our parents I'm just saying, like, this, you said we were going to talk about it, so let's talk about it. Let's stop blaming our parents, our elderly parents, because some people do have parents who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Let's stop blaming our parents or our elderly parents. Let's stop blaming our grandparents. Hello. Yeah. Let's stop blaming family members for not taking care of our kids when we're the one who chose to have them. Don't get me wrong. I understand that, you know, back in the day there were villages and stuff like that. And, you know, people didn't mind, you know, watching their grandkids and stuff. But they were watching their grandkids because their children were going to work. Their children were working 2 jobs. Yeah. Yeah. Their children didn't mind working 12-hour shifts. You don't even want to work a 4-hour shift at Target, but you want to be in Miami with the homegirls. Like, make it make sense. We cannot get mad. No, we cannot get mad at our parents and our grandparents for things like this when we say that they're not helping if we're not helping ourselves. You cannot, that's not fair to them. They've raised their kids and their grandkids. They've done what they needed to do. If your parents or grandparents are retired, why should they have to stay at home all day to watch your kids while you go on trip after trip after trip with your homegirls? Or, you know, you just met this new man or this new woman and, you know, oh, I want to see what it's about, so I'm going to go on a date and we going to spend a weekend together.
And she's spitting.
I'm just like, that's not fair to them.
She's spitting.
And don't get me wrong, I know that some family members can be toxic. I know that some families do not want to see, you know, their other family members get ahead. This is not for them. But for the ones I'm talking to, you know I'm talking to you and you know what I'm talking about.
She's spitting.
So let's stop blaming other people for situations that we're putting ourselves in and then expect them to bail you out. That's not fair to them. That's not.
I throw my hands up, man.
We were talking about being accountable, so we have to be accountable on every front. We can't do that. We can't blame other people or be mad at other family members for not watching our kids or being there for them when you're not doing what you need to do.
Ooh.
I'm just saying. Sorry.
I ain't got nothing to say. Hey, you know what? Because you went in, you know? Sheesh.
I'm just saying. Sorry.
Again,
sorry, not sorry.
Unfiltered Kingdom Talks, man. I ain't gonna leave y'all out there because, you know, like, what I feel like is you can't take a beating without taking a lesson, you know what I'm saying? So, she gave you the belt, she gave you the BTA, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is, you know. But she gave you the belt already, so now I'm gonna give you that pep talk, you know. We them parents, you know, you gotta get your whooping and then you gotta understand why I got it. You know what I'm saying? So, look. To wrap up what she was saying, we need, as parents first, like as the ones with kids, we got to be accountable. You know what I'm saying? As the adults, period. You know what I'm saying? We let's take the title off, because if you were involved in a kid's life somehow, some shape, some fashion, you're in a parent role. You're in a parental role. So we're speaking to all of you all as an adult, because most of that's pretty much all of us. You're a parent in some kind of way. Be accountable. Be accountable to what you're presenting in front of them. Be accountable to what you're doing around them. Be accountable to the model that you're presenting to them. Be accountable to what you're actually telling them to become. Because again, think about these kids. You all, whether y'all look at it or see it or not, are their heroes. Cardi B is Cardi B. Offset is Offset. Jay-Z and Beyonce is Jay-Z and Beyonce. But at the end of the day, you mom, you dad, you uncle, you auntie, that's going to be the immediate influence. So what are you ushering them into? Is it another city girl era? Is it another YN era? Are we going to be doing more drill music for these youths? Because we seen what they did. We seen what Chief Keef and them brought up. We're living in the aftermath. All that drill music, all of that Chicago, all of that East Coast, we got all of that. That's why everybody is shooting up everybody. That's why everybody mad and everybody's smoking on somebody pack, right? That's where we're at now. So what is the next generation gonna be though? Who gonna stand up and say, you know what, it's time to give these girls something different to aspire to be? Because just revealing and moral lists and decorum lists, that just can't be the way. That can't be the only representation of what a woman is. You know what I'm saying? That I know that's not a phenomenal woman. So what? How can we usher that back in? How do we get rid of, you know what I'm saying, gangster men? Or when do we revive the real definition of gangster? Standing on business, standing on family. That's gangster. That's gangster. Making sure your kids straight, that's gangster. Making sure your wife straight, that's gangster. Making sure family is good. Making sure legacy and generation is built, that's gangster. Let's get off this girly stuff. I gotta rock my pants off my waist. I gotta have a gun for everybody to see. That's not gangster. That's not gangster. So can we get back to some of that old school, man? Standing on business, standing on purpose, standing on family values, standing on morality. Can we get back to that? You know what I'm saying? And I think the best way to do that is, again, we gotta take a look at ourselves. Like you said, be accountable. That's where it all starts. I don't want to just beat y'all over the head and say, oh, look, this is what y'all doing and it's wrong. All right, it is wrong. Y'all do need to look at it. But start making the changes. How do you make the change? Look at it. Be real. Be honest. If that's you, that's you. But how can you start making the changes? How can you start slowly becoming a different version of yourself? Becoming a better version of yourself? Because again, these kids deserve better. They didn't ask to be here. You didn't get a piece of mail to your address that said, do you want a kid in 9 months? Yes or no? Because the kid said that they're ready to be. No, that's not how that happened. So give these kids more than what we're giving them. They deserve more than what we're giving them. Because what we're giving them is BS. It's BS, bro. They can't play kickball because of the world we created. Because we want to be still kids. We want to still be kids as grown-ups. We want to still harbor grudges and blame everybody for the ways in which we are. Look in the mirror and make the change. Look in the mirror and heal. Look in the mirror and take the time. Look in the mirror and find yourself. Not the version of the world that created you, not the version that your mama created you, not the version that you abused and put the pieces together. No, find you. Figure out you. Take some time and go find that person. Because that's the person that the world needs to see. That's the person that your kids need to see. That's the person that the generation needs to remember. How are you going to break the cycle? Or are you just going to continue this BS that we got? This BS culture. These BS antics. And this BS lifestyle. Where these kids ain't safe. They ain't protected and they ain't heard. They ain't being loved on. They ain't being invested in. At least when we was brought up, when you went to school, the teachers cared on you a little bit. These kids ain't getting no love nowhere, man. And it's sad, bro. It's sad. So as parents, we gotta do better. As a community, we gotta do better. Because these kids is getting the short end of the stick, and we wondering why they crashing out. Ain't no love in them. Ain't no investment in them. They drying out real quick. They dying out real. Why are the kids dying quicker than the parents? It used to be the other way around, but now it's the norm. Every day, 16, 15, 17, 18, 22, 25. These kids not making it to 30, bro. And it's because of the environment that we putting around them. It's because we're not healing, and we're taking that unhealed trauma into their lives, into their playgrounds, into their environments, their neighborhoods, their safe spaces. And these kids ain't safe no more. So I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. Take a deep look in the mirror and figure out all the things that you're doing to keep up the BS. And slowly make the change. I'm not asking you to change overnight. I'm gonna be realistic with you. It's gonna take time. But put the time in, please, man. Please. These kids need it. That's all I got. She beat y'all enough. I ain't even. We'll do a part 2 because I didn't give y'all nothing, but she went in. So you got anything left, babe?
I love you.
We love y'all for real. It's from the heart that we say this. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to drag y'all. No, we really not. If y'all knew the type of people we were, if y'all knew how passionate we were about kids, y'all would understand why we may have broke it off the way we broke it off. You know, it's no ill intent though. It's all love, but we do got to do better by God's kids. So it's all love. We out 3-2. It's your boy Kingdom Talk.